Hey guys, welcome back to the Independent Reporter, and this is going to be the third upload of the day for me. Pretty much a chain link of videos to the response of the United States election. I'm just going to put this up kind of, as a what can the Republicans do now that Clinton's got a massive lead? So, assuming what I've said about the last video sticks and Trump is really down in the gates, how can Trump claws back? Now, I'm not going to talk about Clinton too much about this in this video because Clinton's got a massive lead. There's not too much you can do to shore it up. If Trump takes a lead, maybe I'll make a video on how Clinton can take it back. But right now, this is pretty much down to how the Republicans take it back. Sorry if this whole past few videos have been really hard on the Republicans and a lot of support from them, but they're the ones in the news and all that stuff. Because when you look at the way the election's gone, Clinton's kind of just sat there and gone down very slowly. She doesn't make any gains. She kind of just sits there and loses favorability, and then a big thing happens and loses more favorability, and it goes like that. But at the same time, Trump is racing himself down to the bottom as well. Trump every week will make 10 comments that hurt his favorability as well. So, you know, it's both a downward trend on favorability and all that stuff. So, you know, there's not much we can really talk about except how Trump can stop digging himself a hole. Because Clinton isn't really, to be honest, digging herself a hole as we speak, or even in this whole election. The Benghazi things was during her term as Secretary of State. The Democratic National Convention email thing did not actually involve her, but it was her party and all that stuff. So it's not so much what she's done this election. She's been very stagnant, to be honest. It's more about what she hasn't done in terms of Donald Trump doing something worse, and what she did during her career. Which, to me, that's honestly how you play an election. You point out what Clinton has done in her career, and it's bad. With Trump, it's more of like, a drama thing, but you don't want a drama queen for your president, so both sides, it's really a race to the bottom for both sides. And my prediction, which I'll get to about halfway through this video, is that if someone else steps in, it will be a very, very easy win for them. Anyway, so what can Trump do? If we look down here, this is the chances of him winning. Right now, I don't have the actual poll, and I don't want to rely on polls too much because a lot of people are very reluctant to add in the fact that, Trump's out or Trump's down, all that stuff. So you'll find Republican polls will say, "Oh, Trump's still back, still in this," and Democratic polls will say, "No, Trump's out of this." So finding a very unbiased poll is not very good, and this odds thing is not the most unbiased, but if we look at the recent polls and then they say the margin of victories and then you add that back up, then it's quite realistic. So Trump's got a very low chance of winning right now. So how can he claw this back? Well, for starters, we'll talk about more things that can hurt Clinton because it's really how Trump gets the lead. Trump doesn't really get the lead from saying good things and going up. Again, with the exception of the National Convention. As you can see in the first spike here, right around this time on the 14th, he got the lead, or came close to the lead, I should say, because of a scandal with Clinton, and that was around the FBI. So, what are the chances of something like that happening again? Well, there's nothing super huge left. I mean, the Benghazi things are essentially done. The damage has been done, and if this was a regular campaign, this would be enough to knock Clinton out. That dip there from about 80% chance to win down to about 50 responded to an actual about 5, 6, 7, or 8 point drop in her poll standings. And that was mainly because a lot of Democrats refused to support her. The Sanders supporters refused to support Clinton because of the Benghazi thing. All the independents made up their mind, quote unquote, made up their mind because they switched back, as you can see in August. Decided that they don't want Clinton because the Secretary of State things was really bad. Like I said, it would make a huge deal, but it's pretty much done with the whole Benghazi thing. The FBI's already made their big hit and all that stuff, so an indictment will not come. I think, honestly, that's over. It will still loom over her race, but I think you'll need a compound thing to really bring Trump back up. But what else is there? Well, Julian Assange, as I spoke about many times in my other videos, has reported that he has other things on Clinton. Now, I don't think it's very massive. If it was very massive, he would just release it. He's holding off because apparently he does not want Trump to win, so he will hold off until she, I don't know, assumes presidency or something. So if it was very massive, I think they would have leaked it anyway, saying, "Oh, this is a threat to all of, I don't know, the United States political system, not just you can't hold it off just for the sake of not allowing Trump to win." It's kind of like what a whistleblower does, you know. They'll keep it in secret until the time comes, or if it's really big, you need to let it out. So I don't think it's extremely massive, but I think it makes it a deal, a pretty big deal. If you look around here where Clinton's numbers go down, a lot of it was because of the Democratic scandal about how WikiLeaks published a bunch of emails saying that it was kind of rigged against Sanders. Not rigged in, you know, changed voting stuff, but rigged in the sense that the funding it was unbalanced. So if something like that happens, you know, maybe that does hurt Clinton a little bit. I don't know how much it will hurt, and I don't know what they could have, honestly. But there is some things that if it was released, then it would hurt Clinton. But like I said, it probably would not be released. You would probably need Donald Trump to show more competence for someone like Julian Assange to release it, saying that, you know, we need the people to see this. So it would do probably some damage, but judging by how the other email thing went, combined with the fact that Trump was on the upsurge, it still didn't make that big of a difference. It was only, as you can see, this rise right here for Trump. So, you know, maybe he could claw back a little bit, but it was already pretty even at that time. So we'll see, but it's not looking that good that that would actually derail it. So what else could Trump do? Well, for starters, Trump could walk back a bunch of his positions that got people quite mad. So if he made more positions towards the centrist people, because what he's essentially done in the past 2 weeks, especially this week, which I find it very odd, he's done this a lot even after he's fallen in the polls. He still went to the radical side, so like being against the TPP. Now, I'm the last person you'll find for the TPP. TPP is a bad thing, and I very, very much support Trump's being against it. But many people in the centrist area feel that the TPP is good. So taking a stance like that, that's how he could get it back. Now, I don't think Trump actually is against TPP because he is a businessman and he would benefit from the TPP. If he is, then that's a bonus point. I admire Trump for this kind of thing. But it's the same as Clinton, you know. Do you really think Hillary Clinton is against the TPP? No, that is because Bernie Sanders forced her to. Clinton would also make a lot of money off the TPP. So I think it is very likely that both candidates would support it, ultimately, but both candidates right now are against it in the public view. So if Trump jumped out and supported it, then something like that could get him back. Or, you know, making reassuring comments about how the military could be handled, or submitting a very light tax proposal, or I don't know. He released his financial advisors, and they were all males. If he had a more gender balanced thing, then it would support. Now, a lot of these things, I'm not saying that they're good or bad. I want to be neutral on them. Some of them, to me, I like. Some of them, I don't like. But for him to claw back this election, he will 100% need to appeal more to the centrist people, because Clinton is already backtracking, going back over there from the Bernie Sanders. Now that Sanders is out, so she can go back towards the right. And Sanders forced her to the left quite a bit. It's Trump's turn to go to the left in order to get some of those voters as well. Unfortunately, he's gone quite far to the right on a lot of different issues. So he could essentially claw it back, but I think it's very unlikely. The only way he could do it is to, you know, kind of betray his right-wing support. But, you know, betraying the right-wing support, I don't think it's going to really hurt him because, you know, if you're a hard right-winger and Trump says, you know, I'm going to have some leftist policies, they'll be like, yeah, I hate that, but I'm not voting for Clinton, so I'll vote for Trump anyway. Whereas a centrist, if they see Trump saying, I'm going to go further to the right, the centrist would be like, screw it, I'll just vote Clinton in. So it's really the person who's closest to the middle has a good chance of winning this one here. But that's enough about Trump. What can Trump do? Well, probably nothing, because despite me saying all this stuff, he's gone the opposite way. So I'm not sure if Trump can do anything about this. The other option, which was proposed, now there's two actually options. One of them, actually they were both essentially proposed by Paul Ryan. One of them was quote unquote, maybe we should all learn to deal with Hillary Clinton. Now, I don't think they'll do that because I'm not sure if a lot of Republicans feel that they're closer to Clinton than Trump. Maybe some do, but I think that was a bluff. But if they do end up doing something along that lines, that would be very odd, and it would be essentially giving up. And what that would mean is you give up your Supreme Court seat. If you gave up in this kind of landslide, you could lose the House and the Senate. A lot of these people would lose their jobs, so it would be a disaster. So I don't think they'd go down that road. I think that was just a scare tactic by Paul Ryan. Now, Paul Ryan also said we may be looking for some new leadership, and a lot of other people around Trump said that Trump is very demoralized. Everyone, in fact, is demoralized, and they might be looking for a new leader. Now, that kind of sounds like getting a new candidate in, and Donald Trump, knowing the kind of person he is, very obsessed with ratings. If this kind of tear in like the massive advantage for Clinton stays up for a while, Trump may drop out over the fact that he doesn't want to deal with losing, and he's already called for a rigged system and all that, kind of insult to the fact that he's pretty much lost. So it wouldn't surprise me if Trump dropped out at this point, and a bunch of other people said that, they would support other candidates. Like Paul Manafort on, I believe it was CNN, I'm not 100% sure what source, but it doesn't really matter. When asked, would he support Paul Ryan? Now, this was during Paul Ryan's re-election. And instead of saying we will support him for his, I think his Senate seat, I'm not 100% sure. I'm not the most up-to-date on this kind of politics, sadly, because it doesn't really matter what Paul Ryan wins. He's going to be a figurehead of the Republican. I don't care what a small seat is. Anyway, instead of saying he will support him for that, he said he will support his candidacy for presidency. Now, again, that could be a slip-up, or it might not be. People like Paul Manafort don't usually make slip-ups, and the presidency wasn't really talked about, so I don't know how that really came in. But, that's just kind of a small theory on how this could work. So, if that does happen, who would take over? Well, as I just said, Paul Manafort made a slip up, but he said he would support Paul Ryan's candidacy for presidency. If Trump went out, you would immediately look for Paul Ryan to replace him. But would it just be Paul Ryan? Because Paul Ryan doesn't have that much support on the left side. Yes, if he came in, he probably would win, but time becomes a factor. They would need someone who is kind of left and right on this whole thing. And there's still a couple of governors who have not supported Donald Trump. Now, notably, the people who have not supported them are like, Bush, like George W. Bush, HW, all that kind of people. So there's still room for a bunch of endorsements and a lot of pressure to be made on a candidate if they did come in. And it kind of looks like Koch as well. The Koch brothers probably would love to endorse a candidate, but they can't at this moment because they don't want Clinton or Trump. So if someone comes in, they've got a lot of firepower. And another person who has not endorsed, but could make another candidate run, would be someone like John Kasich. So if Trump does drop out to help the Republicans and mainly help his image at this point, if he drops out, then he's putting all politics aside and it's all about him again. Then they could put someone like, I don't know, John Kasich or Paul Ryan. And to me personally, that's kind of what I believe will happen if Trump does not fix this within the 1 week. If he doesn't fix it within the 1 week, he should get out, honestly, because if it does not look any better, then the Democrats are going to win by a massive landslide. So what should happen is he drops out, someone else comes in. Now, I fully do believe that there would be a power struggle between Kasich and Ryan, or maybe a third candidate, Ted Cruz, maybe. But I think it would come down to either Kasich or Ryan, and who would get the endorsements from the Koch brothers and from the Bushes. Now, realistically, Paul Ryan likely would get that. But if Ryan is reelected, which the elections happen very soon, he might not be able to run for presidency, which would allow Kasich to kind of just be put in there. He's already extremely liked. The only person in this whole election that could have beat him was potentially Bernie Sanders, but we don't even know that because Sanders shifted on his policies a lot near the end. If Sanders came in, maybe Kasich would have even beat him. But regardless, if Kasich or someone like that came in, he'd be able to get most of the Trump support because he still is a Republican. A lot of the Republicans would still stick with him. And the big thing is a lot of Democrats mainly in like all of these areas, essentially the Rust Belt, Nevada, Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, Virginia, Pennsylvania, these kind of areas, they would likely switch to John Kasich because Clinton's numbers are quote unquote atrocious um, for any presidential candidate. Her unfavorabilities are extremely low, and so if John Kasich went in, he would probably be more liked than her in terms of the Democrats as well, like at least centrists at least. So it would be highly likely that if Kasich got in, the Republicans would win sweeping victories all across the whole of the United States, and be able to hold a Supreme Court, the Senate, and all the houses of Parliament or Congress, whatever the United States calls it. Sorry for being not American here, but essentially someone like Kasich could unite the Republican Party and steal probably 30 to 40% of the Democratic Party, leading to massive victory. And if you're a Republican, you've got to like that idea. If you're a Trump supporter, honestly speaking, if someone like Kasich comes in, unless you're for one of Trump's policies like building the wall or the immigration policy, you should also like that because Kasich supports a lot of things that Trump supports. So that would be quite good. And remember, Trump's favorite person that he wanted for a vice president was John Kasich. So, I think he'd be able to get the Trump supporters. And I think he'd be able to get all the Republicans. And then on top of that, most of the Democrats. Paul Ryan as well. There's a little bit of bad blood between him and Trump. But he could get the actual big donors a lot faster with the Bush and the Koch support. But I think Kasich could also do this. So that kind of winds down my whole theory of how the Republicans could get out of this. Again, Trump could try to shoot towards the center and hope that Clinton keeps getting hammered, and Trump could pull this one out. But if he doesn't, which it's not looking like he is, maybe the best move is for him to drop out and have a new Republican come in and unify the party and steal the Democrats. So ultimately, if status quo prevails, Hillary Clinton likely will win. Actually, no. If status quo prevails, Hillary Clinton will win. If Donald Trump does the radical thing, goes to the center, he has a chance. And if he drops out, I think it's almost guaranteed that the Republicans would win. So, I don't know. If you're a Clinton supporter, you just hope that Trump stays in and keeps saying it's rigged, it's rigged, it's rigged. And if you're a Republican, hope that Trump drops out. And if you're a Trump supporter, hope that Trump can go back to the center, go back to the New York roots. Because, let's be honest here. Trump is not the most ridiculous candidate to do this. He was a Democrat at one time. So, he could pull this off. I don't mean to discredit him at all. He is, in many ways, crazy, very hot-headed and all that stuff, but he is still a New York Democrat, or at least was for a while. He could still pull this off. And just for any proof, look at this. About here, 90% Clinton chance to win, and he had a lead for a little bit. So, the election's still far from over, but if nothing happens, it's probably over. But I'd like to also point out there are still independent third-party candidates, but they're not going to do anything in this election. But, there's still a chance. Like, look at Gary Johnson polling at 10.2%. That is quite hilarious. But, yeah. So guys, hope you enjoyed the video. That's going to be it in my trilogy of election videos here. I hope you like them. I hope you comment, subscribe, share with your friends, all of that. And just, post what you think would be the best thing for the Republicans or even the Democrats to do. I enjoy seeing a bunch of different feedback, and I enjoy seeing a bunch of different opinions on different things. That way I can, make my own and see how things are going and look at different links and all that stuff. So I enjoy it very much, and I hope you guys enjoy my videos. So anyway, take care. Have a great time.